Really?
Well, I've got 3 monitors here, and okay. Here's the thing. Okay, literally the graphics card that I guess maybe let's the graphics card that I have in this machine. I built this machine, so I'm almost 30. I built this machine when I was in high school, so it's almost 15 years old.
Hmm.
Um, and this is the same graphics card that I bought at the time, and it was, a mid, I spent a little bit of money for a 17-year-old on that in whatever it was, 2015. Um, and
Ta-da!
nice. I spent a little bit of money on that graphics card. Um, it is today, if I go well, I haven't checked in a while, but uh, last time I checked, if I were to take the graphics card that has been in my machine and has been used every single day for 12 years and has been got through God only knows what, if I went and resold it today, it would have a higher dollar value than what I paid for it originally. Um,
With a dollar value, yeah, sure.
yeah, and
Um,
it anyway. So it can barely handle all of these monitors, but if there's something complicated, like, a lot of snowflakes or, something that is going to require a lot of interlacing, then, it struggles.
that's kind of funny. It's
I
almost
don't,
as if we weren't able to play Counter Strike 2 in the early 2000s. Um,
well, you didn't have 4K monitors in the early 2000s.
yeah, so I wonder what if there's a limitation to what am I getting stuff about here? Oh, so we all right. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Where was I? We're continuing on with trying to unmess myself from run local. Uh, Trying to kind of pull myself out of the messed up little hole I wound up in with GajuDesk. Let's see if this runs. It does. And it also didn't show up in a crazy place, which is like amazing. Despite the 2 screen setup. Bob has money and Jane has money. Okay. Let's go to test Gajumaru. Now, if I click this, I believe, yeah, we have this like implosion on the Explorer for these contracts specifically. And I think that it's an indexing problem that's not solved yet. Um, oh, wow. That showed up on the wrong screen. Let's move you over here. Think. Open from hash. That. Okay. Now, if we click deploy, look, everything opens up. Yay. Now, I can guarantee what's going to happen is if I try to deploy this, we're going to get a crash because I don't think I'm doing anything with the arguments yet. So, your typing is just like going nonstop.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Um,
Here, let me mute. Actually, let me just switch to a quieter keyboard.
Ooh, that's an option. I plugged 2 keyboards in so that I could like look at this screen without being all awkward because the other one doesn't quite like reach. So
Oh,
I'm dual wielding.
all right. The non-mechanical keyboard, if I start typing too much, then I will get annoyed with it. So we'll see how this goes.
um, this is what I was talking about before about like the life cycle of the call needs to be independently handled. If I just close the developer interface, previously it would have killed this because that was a modal. But we need to have,
Oh, I
but we
see
need,
what you mean.
We need
Yeah,
GajuDesk
yeah.
to be able to initiate. Remember, like we were talking about the message type, where we should be able to say, "Call this contract at this interface function with these arguments, please," and then have GajuDesk show all the details of the user, and
Hmm.
then proceed. It needs a hook to be able to do that, and the best way to do that is to not go through the developer interface, but rather have a way to initiate a call the same way that we like if I do send money, right? This opens up and it's its own life cycle. Well, why is contract call, which is way more complicated, not its own life cycle? It's kind of silly to handle that in a modal when a spend is like a process life cycle. So that was kind of a big deal to get done. Also, I had not hooked in this when you click the what's about the X thing. It just wouldn't react to it, so that was silly because I forgot.
That's not important.
No, not important at all. Let's see, GDV. Yeah, I can't. I'm like at a funny angle, so I'm like missing all my strokes. Not that I'm good at typing normally, but I'm especially bad right now. Is this readable for you, by the way?
Uh, it probably would be if so. I have this inside a screen. It's like taking up.
Oh, if you watch the stream, it should be. Actually,
Yeah. If
let's
you,
check that. Let's go to YouTube and see.
so, I would say that.
Let me get the YouTube link.
It's like 30% of my screen area, and this is, I don't know, a 20-inch monitor. I don't know how to make it full screen.
Yeah, hang on. Let me give you the linky link. So that's the YouTube link. That's the real test, because like on Rumble, it'll be clear because it can be.
Okay. Okay, you sent me.
Yeah, that's super readable on there. Now that might be because I'm getting it in 1080p. It's going to be on a delay.
Oh, I got so confused because YouTube was on a delay, and I was hearing you talk on YouTube.
Yeah,
And I
I
was
have to
like,
mute it.
it's going to be on a delay. Okay, wait, and then it's going to be on a delay. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Okay.
Yeah, Rumble's on a slight delay, but it's like network and compositing. YouTube is on a bit longer delay because it's like doing its whole own back end thing.
Okay, so if I make it full screen, my stream quality here is 480p. If I force it to be 1080p, I can read it if it's full screen, if I force it to be 1080p.
Okay, are you looking at a laptop or something?
No, this is on 20-inch 1080p monitor on a desktop machine.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you'd be matching the resolution. Mine on a little bit smaller, I can still read it without like at 720, I can read it.
Yeah, but my YouTube is buffering if I try to set the stream to be 1080p.
Yeah, 720, it's readable.
Yeah, dude. The important thing is to work. I think. I mean,
yeah. I'm not going to blow this up real big.
If people complain, then they complain.
Yeah, that's true. Not that, I mean, we're going to probably have our typical 3 viewers or so. I say typical. Nothing is typical yet because this has just started, but being just started, we can kind of do whatever we want. Let's see. Yeah, I was in the handle this down here, the handle WX close. I just was not catching that at all. It's just kind of silly. I just had failed to like put it in. Let's see. Ugh. Get my. Maybe that'll be okay. Got to get my setup figured out. What did I want to look at over here? I had. Let's do that again. Wow, it's still showing up on a giant screen. I want it Maybe if I set a size that's like that. Let's see what happens. Nope. The coordinates of this are just funky. So let me get a hold of that. Open from hash. And then the deploy thing. Okay. Oh, actually, I'm curious about open deployed contract load from chain. Let's see if I'm going to call refuse. Yay! Okay, that's not quite what I wanted in terms of where the button placement is, but I can make that just a hair longer. Yeah, that's kind of okay. All right. Dry run. Okay. So all these things are rendering in the way that I want. So if the call args, we get the name and then the type, and then we get a return type at the bottom, which tells us what to expect. Down here, the way this is set up, function spec, call arg, return type, I want to do transaction info and then, or transaction and then info and then return value at the bottom of this.
Okay.
I think that's what I want to do. The things we have parameters in the middle, right? The call parameters and the args are separate because they like have to be. I haven't quite decided how I want to lay this out. Should I do it laterally? Like parameters, call args, and then transaction info in return? Or because I feel like we're not using like this space, you know? And that's what we got more of. So parameters should really be signature key should actually be part of parameters. I want to put that like in there. Maybe have that as like a left panel, and then in the middle the call args, and then the return. I don't know. I'm going to try that. I think. Also, Ulf brought up a good point, which is these are in alphabetical order. He was getting a list that was in map order, and I don't remember if I actually changed that already. I may have. I don't remember where. Make right window. Oh, that's the left right contract versus deployed thing. Oh, open contract. That'll tell me something. Load 3. Code sizer, code text, scroll window. The font sizer, that's what it is. Okay. The scroll window should probably be a child of the static box sizer box, which is a thing that I ran into yesterday. That's probably the more correct way to do this. It works as is, but probably slightly wrong. Okay. The interfaces, callables. Do I ever sort the callables? Init functions. I map maps. Make iFace over so that's the key and the value. And iFaces comes out as a map. iFaces for new buttons is me merging that. New buttons is returned as a map. New buttons and iFaces. Okay. New buttons and iFaces. And they're just added that way. So they just like happen to come out in alphabetical order, which seems really shaky. Okay, and this was a termination condition. So we shouldn't even like provide a call button for calls that are like can't update state. They're just lookups. You know what I mean? It's like dumb to put a transaction on chain if it's just a lookup function.
Oh, yeah.
Like, doesn't that seem silly?
Well, like, one thing I was looking into.
Like this, seller. Let's look at the seller function.
I was looking into this because Fate, if my understanding may or may not be correct, so let me put a big asterisk next to what I'm about to say. But Fate basically has this storage
Look at
type.
these. These aren't stateful.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Fate has this storage type, and I was basically interested in like, querying pieces of my contract state, and like it was like, God, it's so annoying having to write like an accessor function for each of those and like spin up all the machinery just to call a function, which like Sophia, like basically Sophia knows, the Sophia compiler knows how to fish whatever data I want out of the state machine. And like the hack of just putting an entry point, or not the state machine, of the, state that's stored on chain, and having to like hack around that with having to put a custom entry point in the contract. That's just stupid. Like if you have this is what I was talking about, is that like, okay, if you have the source code for the contract, then Sophia knows, like that's part of the compilation. That's a step in the compilation, is figuring out, okay, how do we map, things the user is asking us or telling us to do with the state to, a chain thing. And there's like a whole data structure in the Sophia compiler for that. And I was like, okay, like why is this not an artifact that the compiler produces that I can then reference?
I can partly answer that question, which is that sometimes you want the contract state that you want to look at is something that has to be computed from primitives in the contract.
Well, sure. I mean, like literally just get whatever is in record state equals whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like not have something that's computed as a function of the state, like literally what is in the state. That is just a static value that is on chain.
Right, which is available in some way, but it's not readily accessible.
Yeah, my point is that it's not hard in principle to make that readily accessible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's kind of like the what did they call it in Kotlin? The useful objects, the ones that you make that have
Oh,
it
they're
generates
basically
successors and getters and setters.
they're basically like smart structs essentially.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because they won't let you do structs for real. So you can make those. It's like state object or whatever the hell it is. State class. Is that right?
State, it might be a
It
data
was something
class.
like that.
Data class, I think.
Data class. Yeah. And basically, it's like you can have a struct, and we're going to do all the necessary JVM, hide everything from you because we don't trust you bullshit. But then but because it does that automatically, you can then treat it like you would a struct. Which is goofy, but whatever. Like it's a convenience that never should have been necessary. In the blockchain context, a little bit different because you do have like getting things out of the chain it's a process. It's not on your system. It's something that's not in a node you're querying, but anyway, my point is like these entry points here. These are public network interface points, and none of them is stateful. But then I could call seller, for example. Seller just tells me who the seller is, right? Well, why can't I call that? It's kind of silly that I can call that. And like the related code or the relevant code that I'm looking at here is right here, where see we're mapping the interface functions, and if there's no dry run button, we're just adding the call button to the map of call interfaces. But if we have both, we're going to map merge both of these into this. It's just one way to make it. It's just a way to make it a single line. But really, we should also have this case where we don't have a call button because up here we check whether or not there's a call. There should be a call button. And if the function is not stateful, which I don't recall whether we get that information. I know we can get it at build time. I don't know whether I'm wiping it out before we get down here, but I think that the function spec actually has in it whether or not it's stateful. I know it's available. Address. No, we don't have the. Okay. By the time we've gotten this far, we don't have the information on whether or not it's stateful. But that's noted somewhere that we should be able to get a hold of. So this is the init cells operating. Okay. So I'm going to make like a, if I can find my cursor, like notes to self here. So ask Jarvis whether we can preserve the AACI or ACI. I want to ask him that, because if we can preserve that, then, or if there's a way that I can look it up at all.
What are you looking to preserve? Sorry, I was.
Whether we can preserve the stateful or stateless attribute of a interface function, because then
Ooh.
I can just not create call, useless. Look at these useless call buttons that are kind of dangerous, because they let me like call these really cheap functions on chain, and those transactions have to stay on chain until a TTL goes out. And all I was trying to do was query. This should only really be dry run.
So your question is,
look, these cannot change the state. Asking the price, getting the price. These are just lookups.
I see what you mean.
I should never do a transaction that stays on chain forever for this. This should never enter the mempool.
Oh, I see. So you basically want to figure out. Okay. So you want something. Okay, that's what the keyword stateful means, is basically, does it depend on something that actually lives on the chain or alter the chain in some way?
No. Stateful alters a chain. It does a put at the end somewhere.
Right. I think even if you're if you're doing a remote call, that's why it's tricky.
If I'm doing a remote call, if it's just a lookup, I don't think it does.
Maybe like statefulness is like a transitive thing where like, or it's kind of.
If a stateful call calls another function, if a stateless call cannot call a stateful call.
Right. It's like, hey, it's a monad. Aren't you glad?
No, that's a bad word. You shouldn't say those things in programming contexts.
Well, that's what this is, except this is like the least annoying version of it I've ever seen.
But once you say monad, it elevates it to being annoying.
Yeah. I don't know. Haskell's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Haskell's kind of like C++, where like if you just take a little bit of it, it can actually be a really nice language. But
that's how I got into Perl, man. It was like just the tip, bro.
Yeah, well, the other problem with Haskell is that the standard library sucks, and so you do have to use, third-party libraries and like, okay, so like I was just as an experiment writing like a Gajumaru wallet in Haskell just for fun, and it was like, oh my god, all of the stupid stuff with binary serialization is just such a nightmare in Haskell because number one, it doesn't have byte syntax. And number two is that you have to use a third-party library if you want, binary access, because that's not in the standard, like byte strings are not a type in the standard library. And it's just like, this is just so much more trouble than it's worth.
To be fair, Kotlin also has that problem where there's not standardized unsigned integers, which you'd expect everywhere. And so you either get to do does
Yeah,
this
the experiment.
representation have -0 or not type dance, or use the Java library or the experimental features, and it's going to complain to you whichever path you pick.
Yeah.
And I have since come to find out that because of the dependency injection religion of all the the ooptards that do Kotlin stuff, and the fact that any include can bring on its own precompiler thing that can change all kinds of stuff, and you get you add one include line and it just like adds code to all of your there's it messes with like essentially metaclass constructor type stuff underneath, and so you don't actually know what happened to your code. There are hooks that some includes will include to allow runtime introspection and debugging, and some of those hooks can be even the standard library, and some of those things can be used to do things like inject a screen overlay. So there's actually a frame between the user and your program. It's like trying to be helpful with debugging, but that can be hijacked to like attack apps that are written this way. And it's not something that you're always aware of. So I've wound up realizing that I have to go back and do like the old, just use Java to talk to Dalvik directly to make sure that those aren't like there aren't indirect attack paths. Now the interface stuff, we can do some of that with Kotlin, and use sort of the nicer Jetpack features, but just for the interface, everything that touches an actual key needs to just be in Java, which is a new layer of complication. iPhone has its own version of this sort of hell, but anyway, just reminding me of that's me going off on Kotlin now that you remind me of the lack of bit syntax, and I guess the bottom line is the situation is not great most places for trying to do anything low level anymore. And I say low level, I just mean I want to like manipulate bits. It shouldn't be hard. It's a computer. But it's weird. Like it's easier for a kid to put like, pictures of chicks in bikinis on a screen today than it is to do like a calculation.
Yeah. Doing,
Like I
it's
can play a video that's real, like what we're streaming right now. This is easier for kids to do now than it is to like just do like a
dude,
binary manipulation.
the level of, okay, you see with me, Jarvis, and you, there are three like very different levels of just sort of intimate understanding of how a computer works. And because like Jarvis has all that experience with C and game programming, but he hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's ever done any embedded stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he has. He certainly would have an easier time with that than I would.
He would do fine with. He'd
Yeah,
take like 2 days to get used to it.
I mean, he learned Erlang in like what 3 days.
Yeah, just
Um,
like as we went. Thank goodness Erlang's easy too. Like that was really
Erlang's,
nice.
Erlang is really not a difficult language. What was I going to say? But like with me, my first like quote programming unquote experience was like making HTML pages. And then like in high school, I took a class in Java, and like Java already is like a very sandboxy environment, and it doesn't like Java's weird because it's so hard to explain because it's both a high level and a low level language. It's
Yeah.
kind of like JavaScript. Like JavaScript is weird because it's Lisp that is like trying to pretend that it's C. And so like all the places that it's unpleasant are where it's not just being Lisp. So like it
Right.
has this stupid fucking behavior in switch statements where like a switch statement in C is just a jump, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can only switch on integer. No, and so that's why, you jump to this point, and if you don't explicitly put in break, it just continues.
Mm-hmm.
because the break is a jump to the end of the table. And like in JavaScript, they have that same behavior for some reason.
Right. Well, it's
Like,
funny because break is such an idiom in C that if you deliberately don't break because you want a behavior that depends on the continued slide, it can surprise people because they're so used to seeing break that they're like, wait,
yes,
why is this passing through? Why? So that's already confusing. Um, there's reasons why it's there in kind of the history of the language. Why would JavaScript emulate that? Is the same question to me is why in the world did they put like integer sizes that could roll over into EVM? That's insane.
I kind of have the viewpoint that basically every language should make a choice if it's a high level language or a low level language. And if
Yeah.
you're a high level language, you need to have IO lists, you need to have binary syntax, you need to have linked lists,
Hmm.
you need to have type coercion that's fairly straightforward. You can even be a statically typed language, but you need to have all of these sort of, kind of convenience features. And if you're a low level language, it's okay to not have those. But then, I need raw memory access. I need to, kind of be able like, but it's these weird middle grounds where it's like trying to be a high level language. Oh, but we can still throw exceptions for, bounds checking errors, but you want to just read the third character in a string. No, you need a string tokenizer for that. You can't just set a string. You need to make a string tokenizer, obviously. It's like,
Yeah.
what? Like, I don't want to make a string. I don't want a thing. I want a function.
Right. That's yeah. I don't know that the fact that you can isolate your thinking, like right now, just for example, I'm thinking the fact that you can isolate your thinking inside of functions and that you can know what's inside of a thing at a given moment because nothing is jacking with the context you're gonna encounter internally unless you're doing an external call somewhere. So doing an external call somewhere, the fact that external calls are like obvious versus like if I call dot some object dot something, I don't really know what I'm dealing with. And they've tried to solve that with like glyphs and stuff, like putting a question mark or a bang or something, because this is a
Yeah,
what
because
and
we need more noisy.
yeah, we need more noise instead of like simplifying the context and saying, oh no, we have like concrete scope. Um they're anyway. Sometimes I hate everything. This is going to be one of those days if I keep thinking about this. Um like just thinking about, okay, what if I want to convert this from a map to a list operation? Like I want to do a list map over a sorted list. That's not super hard to figure out, right? Um, but in an object context, it can be, because if this was Python, I would have to keep track of, did I make a copy of the references that are now sorted, or did I sort the references in place? Which sort did I use? That type of thing. And every time I go back to a language like that, I'm like surprising myself and going, oh yeah, I remember, blah blah blah. Because little stuff like that's not obvious. I forget which one even sorts in. I forget which one sorts in place. I think the function returns like a copy of the references. Oh no, I'm getting messages. Um. Oh, we have a new article. The case for defensive mining is. See if I can break that out. Wolf wrote this article like a long time ago, right? I think we just never remembered to publish it anywhere.
I'm interested to read.
Well, it's like basically he's making the argument, which is a good one, that there's more incentive to mine than just making money off of transaction fees and block rewards. That if your business depends on the stability of the Gaju, then you care about the correct function of Groot pretty deeply, and it's worth, even if you're mining at a loss, that's overall a gain because you're contributing one graphic card to like mining on Groot is worth it for most medium, small medium businesses. And in aggregate, That's huge. Now you might win the lottery, right? But that's not really the point. The point is that to keep the network distributed, you can't, there's an incentive to understand the problem and further to continue, like to make root remain distributed beyond just a handful of like mega miners and like one or two giant pools that run everything. So defensive mining is saying defend the position that you've got, or defending the current defense of the currency is worth a little bit. So he wrote this about, oh look, this is that stuff that we would never remember to do. There's like a little Gaju mining plug down here at the bottom that takes you to the thing. Anyway, that's cool. Speaking of which, I have two browsers open in this context. Let me get rid of that. Doink. Kill the whole thing. Anyway, my whole point with this interface thing is that these call buttons should not exist. Similarly to how in the old call interface, the dry run button doesn't exist for like init because you can't dry run init. You can contract deploy using init or nothing, but you can't dry run init. Similarly, so there was no dry run button for that. Similarly, there should not be a call button for query only functions because we wouldn't want people. There's no case where you want to commit a transaction to the chain forever. That just does a lookup on, well, not this one. These are stateful. That does a lookup on like whatever it was. These, the status, is it open or what? Is it who's selling? Who's the agent? Who's the seller? Who's the buyer? You don't care about what's the price of the item. These are just lookup. These are like utility endpoints that actually like the the marketplace backend just like looks into that to make sure that it's doesn't have something wrong, right? Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. I keep forgetting about that. I need
about
to
what?
That not everybody reads.
Oh, not everyone can read Japanese.
Yeah.
Well, isn't this in theory supposed to be a Japan stream? I guess you're streaming in English, so never mind.
Yeah, I'm streaming in English. So actually, I was thinking about last night doing another one and just doing it to YouTube and just doing like, because Rumble doesn't really have a presence in Japan. Doing a second one just to test this new cable. And doing that in Japanese because I had been speaking it for like the middle part of the day. So like my brain kind of went to that mode. But
yeah, it's interesting. I only speak one natural language. But I can, I know pretty much every programming language to some degree. I can write basic things in any language.
If you don't know them, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
I don't tend to have a lot of trouble with that. But like for me, learning a new natural language just seems like this Sisyphean task that is just completely impossible. But a programming language, no, I can learn that in a week.
Yeah. Well, I guess the problem I get with natural language is you have so many words that so imagine the number of words you're going to learn, the number of function name. Imagine having to know every function name in the Gajumaru core node. That's like something like how many words you have to know to be, very usefully fluent in another language. And remembering that many just things is a pain. Now you've got a lot of mental hooks that help you, and you have way more repetition than you get when you're dealing with a code base because there's like some limitations on speed, how fast we traverse that. And whereas if you go play with, I've told you before, like the way that I learn the fastest is not go to a class, but go play with kids in the park, because kids talk about like ordinary stuff, like kick the ball and that, oh, look, that ant is red and that's a big dog, so you get all these things very quickly. And so that's a big dog. Okay. So you've kind of got this notion of what a dog is, and you maybe have a notion of what big is, but you don't know which one's which yet. And then they talk about ants. They say that's a big ant, that's a little ant, and you hear big again. And you have all these like connection points that your brain's very, very quick at connecting to naturally.
Right.
And when it's fun, you're outside in the sun and you're playing around, and it's like everybody from your neighborhood and whatever. Like you just learn that stuff. You pick it up so quick, and you eliminate the killer of all natural language learning is like being nervous about making a fool of yourself. And with kids, you don't care because they're like not really people. They're like little miniature, it's what are they going to do? You made a mistake, like who cares? And they make mistakes too, and they're used to correcting each other and giggling about language mistakes because they do it all the time with their parents, just naturally. And they're in that mode with you, so it's really fast to learn stuff because you removed that. You're not afraid to practice. The fastest way to like learn how to construct things and use grammar is to just say stuff and be wrong.
Yes.
And if you're nervous about the adult reaction to that, or making a fool of yourself, or like, a lot of guys try to learn a language because they're going out with a girl who speaks something else. Well, now they really don't want to sound stupid. And that just kills off the creative muscle, just withers away and dies.
Yeah.
So somehow, women get around that. Like it's so much more common to see a woman figure out how to speak her man's language than the other way around.
Really?
For some reason. Now that may also have to do with the fact that like you've got sort of the marriage imbalance where you have like the wealthy guy attracts the less wealthy woman, and so which society she's coming from maybe that's the reason. But
it's like, are you which one is the host language, so to speak?
Yeah, essentially. So maybe I'm sure that's got some influence on it, but it's just interesting that the sort of more status obsessed side of that is the one that is willing to just figure it out shamelessly, which is what you need. You need that sort of shameless mindset to learn language. And for adults, that's why it's hard for adults. I don't think it like this stuff about your brain's not plastic enough to like. I
think what it is that I think it's not even a matter of your brain being plastic. It's a matter of how much time. I think the plasticity is definitely real, but I think like an equally large factor, if not the much bigger factor, is simply how much time do you have to devote to this? Let's say that I am 9 years old and I have the goal of becoming a chess GM. Okay, I can do my homework, and if I'm really smart, I can, get all my homework done. And then I can play chess for 6 hours every single night for like years and years and years and years and years. Like I can't do that as an adult. I got to pay rent. I got to go to I got a job.
Yeah.
I don't think that I could ever think, even with all that time, I'm really bad at chess. So I don't mean that as an example.
No, but like how much time are you going to contribute to? This is already sort of whatever.
Well, and also just when you're a kid, it's so much easier to, like, you remember when you were a kid and you would like hold your breath for like 4 minutes just to prove that you could yourself. Like kids are just much more willing to do stupid shit like that, but that's like what you need actually in order to learn things.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely something real there about that, but the time constraint, like,
that's a big thing, dude.
If you don't have time to play, like that's one of the people have this idea that like kids in Japan are like they're made to study all day and blah blah. Like it's kind of true, but the way it works is much more broken up. Where like school is actually not that long, especially in elementary school. It's not very long. They get off at like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. then after that, they start like other classes for things that are more targeted. Like they want to learn piano, or they want to do like their sports thing, or they want to. We have after school schools that are like private that kids go study at, and they have enough variety and like break up in the day that they're not like just completely crushed under too much stuff all the time. Because you know how like if you tell a kid to sit still all day, that totally
Yeah.
will work out with no problem. Um,
Well, as long as you give him Adderall, it's fine.
Man. Let's see. Maps, iFace, buttons. Where am I getting buttons from? Well, let's do this way. I'm getting new buttons from there. So buttons is going in from. Where am I defining buttons? Buttons is coming from load 3. That's part of. Oh, that's like the buttons map. Okay. Got it. Okay. So actually the append thing here is the correct approach, and buttons needs to be a map. So we are folding over, fold all. We are folding over a map. I'm sorry, we're folding over iFaces, which is a list, but that's informing a map. And in this case, what's the first? The first element is the name, and we don't care about it here. Okay. That's what's happening. Map iFace buttons. And then iFaces is coming back as a list, which is going to be a little different. But that's what we want. iFaces is here. The page has. Oh, and we've encountered them in order for this already, actually. So they should all be. That should actually work. Haha, I say should. We know how my shoulds go quite often. Let me kill this. Blump, blump. Okay, we'll try that again. And see what I messed up. Bad enough to stop compilation. Map iFace. Oh, because it's a 2 now. Yeah, ha ha ha. Yeah. Do. I changed the arete. What else I do? Sorted funds is unused. Oh, it is. Look at that. I mean, I could inline that and be a dick, but I think I'll. Yeah. One line's fine. Okay. So. Do I. It always shows up on this other screen. I need to change the. I need to fix the thingy for that. Load from chain. Oh, crash. What did I do? Zomp blog, OTPR, GajuDesk. Tail 429013. Hmm? That is weird. What are we getting here? CK widget, get frame clock, assert failed window null. So I've got my callable functions already established. That's up here. call Fung interfaces. I tried to add something where I can't add something, I believe. Actually, let me your favorite debugging technique.
What, IO format?
Basically, yeah. So if I spell my variables correctly, that would help. Dun, dun, dun. Crash. Okay. Sorted funds. Yes, I did get that. And they do, like, I think map order is like alphabetical until it's not or something.
It might be alphabetical until it gets to a hash collision.
Maybe. I think it's probably alphabetical until it gets beyond a certain size that they don't want to represent, like as a tuple or something.
Something of that nature.
It's something like that. Okay, so what am I bonking up here? No, I've got those args. Yeah. Okay. I'm getting bling blong noises. Okay. Do. I don't think there's any cases now where I would even have a dry run button being empty. I think. Because we're not doing init in the list anymore. I used to like do all the buttons and then they'd all be disabled except for the init one, and there just wouldn't be a dry run one. So it was a fat init button, and that's all gone now. I think that map iFace buttons will never hit a case where that's true anymore. What I want to do is actually the opposite, where there's no call button if it's not a stateful function. Anyway, what am I doing here that's corny? Lists map, make iFace word functions iFaces. Oh well, it was a map before. Now it's not. What is happening with that? Page iFaces. Close instance iFaces, which is not a map anymore. It's going to be like, oh, whoop. That's nice.
Oh, Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
awesome.
I'm so sorry.
I
I
think
was
it's
I
funny.
was I was just drinking my tea.
Is it still hot?
It is. It is. I just made it.
Okay. It sounded like it was hot. That was pretty funny. Okay. At what point am I colliding with? Oh, with reality. Obviously, I'm over here. Um. Da, 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 da. I hate having to drag this over. Bonk. I'm getting this. Yeah, it's the same thing. Bailout. What am I bailing out on GTK error with? This is the place where you don't get good error messages because I'm bonking something up. I can get some hints from this sometimes. GTK widget get frame clock, but the window's null. The window's null. What would be causing that? Yeah, that's nothing. Yeah, that should be fine. Maps map, make iFace. Lists map, make iFace. New buttons is a lists photo. Map iFace buttons. Widget ID. Yeah, okay. I don't see where anywhere in there would cause a GTK error, though. Obviously, it happens. Let's see how far I get into this. So, oh, I have a name here. I can use the name. Um, what's this called? Let's see if we even get that far. I can find out if I'm crashing out first or not. At least. Okay. Nope, I'm not getting that far. So. Okay. Surely that's not it. Let's see. F label. Scroll window. Yeah. Okay. Oop. I'm going to claim that I'm making typos because this weird angle of this keyboard. Okay. So all these got done. Those all got that loop through the whole thing. Except 0, blah, blah, blah. So that's all a thing. That works. Oop, not that one. This one. which means we return from that, and then we get into, okay, so we've done the iFaces thing. We got through it all right. Sweep the table. Yeah, we got all that on the bottom. There's nothing funny. Then we do lists photo. Maybe the clock thing is because something was timing out, which is why it takes a second to crash. That's probably an indicator. I think we're getting a sort of like a race because we're probably hung up on something silly, and GTK is going barf because we've like blocked a thread too long or something silly like that. See, this stuff all came out, and then we get a pause and then a crash. It's not like crash right away. And it's interesting that I don't get map iFace, but that I don't get a crash on that. Ah. What crash is this? This is the part that pure tooling is just supposed to show you, right? It's supposed to be perfect and immaculate. F accept. Okay. Okay. How about this? We've done this in order, but then we're going to. The whole point was to get that in order, right? The whole point was to be able to order this. Which that's already done. All the rest of the code's written for this to be a map. Then we had the closed interface thing over here, which was. Okay. What did I fuck up here? Have you ever seen this?
SSO opt type continued? What the hell is that?
I have no idea. SSA opt type continue. Function map iFace buttons 3. I've never seen. This is a new compilation error I've never seen. What the hell? It's consistent. I don't know what that is though. In internal error in pass beam SSA op. Is this a parsing error? This was the original code. It was like this. No, it's still doing the same thing. My face button's 3. Huh? I can't even compile it. What internal error and pat? So this is like a compiler barf. What? What is triggering it? This is supposed to be like maps fold 3, right? It's not like the new docs. Yeah, fold 3, the operator, yeah. And the function needs to be 3, arity 3, yeah, key value. So, okay. And this worked just a second ago? Huh? Okay, let's see if I can run this back. Okay. What I had here was right. And then we're going to have these done. Wrap those up. Sorted funds. And then going to make that a map again. Why did that work? I think we have a weird compiler error that's probably fixed in a later version. I don't know, but that was bizarre. Crash, bonk, same thing. Get frame from clock. But if I undo this, it's fine. Why is that the case? That's going to be a weird thing to iron out. So why does This is something probably silly that I'll wind up figuring out later, but I'm not going to stop what I'm doing based on that. I don't see anything in there that would be going funky. All the references, none of the references change and the contents changes. No idea. That's bizarre. So, regardless, what I want to fix, getting sidetracked with this, what I want to fix is the way that this looks. I love how GTK warnings just come out like it's these like step down thing. I want to do a build that just doesn't emit warnings like this. Oh, dimensions. Okay. Call arc sizer. That's better. Okay. One thing improved. Actually, I'm not sure. It's actually fine. Okay, and the transaction info, what do I want in there? I don't have any labels for that. Monotext, that's going to be a single thingy. Do I want a static text or read-only text control? Probably a read-only text control. And then a label for that on the left side. Auto text. You there, Peter?
I am here.
It's like you fell asleep.
I just have my microphone muted in case I don't want to slurp on stream again.
Oh, well.
Things of that nature.
Things of that nature. It's, it's cute though. It's endearing to your public. Okay. Okay. When we engage, let's intercept this here. The chain ID, the parameters. The parameters, and then let's just see what happens. Let's make up some addresses here. Oh, that's just the sales offer. We don't even have base address. We don't have a base address yet. If we're deploying like the template contract, for example, we don't have a base address yet. We'll just use its own portion 0 seller address. Use this again. Okay. Deploy. Unexpected cast, chain ID. Okay. Good to know. So this is that means the controller is receiving chain ID as a cast, which doesn't know what to do with. Haha. It is. Which is dumb. So we're getting okay back for no reason. Oh, I'm dumb. Wait, there's a modal in here somewhere I need to get. No? Okay, so we can get hung up on okay, good to know. Okay, good. So we did get that. That is a huge crash dump. GV call params. Okay, that's all the assembly. At 308. What am I getting messages about? Okay. Line 308. Function clause. State being passed in. Huh. I think I'm passing the wrong thing in. Probably overwrit the state with something silly. Oh. All right. That's a bug I need to fix. Unexpected event. Okay, so we're getting a funny state there. So that window won't close. Open from hash, blah. Deploy. Okay. Okay, so that is a state record. What is assigned to key picker? And init is probably wrong. Key picker. Yep, it is. Look at that. It's a get window ID or some shit. Okay. What was the ID when it's like WX window get some shit? I don't remember. That's not going to work. Do, 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 do. From hash. Yeah, there we go. And deploy. Checks my errors. Uh-huh. Oh. Huh. Oh. Checks amount doesn't actually have to be greater than 0, but that's really good that the error message shows up correctly. Huh. Okay. It's just a wrong error. We don't have to have a transaction amount that's positive in a deploy. So that's an incorrect check. Which means we never get to params. Because we're up here at, I bet we did. So state was okay. We got the train ID out here, root testnet. And then the params check never succeeded because we died on the params check. So what am I doing in the params check? Oh, this needs to be GTE. Okay. And we're going to deploy base address. ID 0, price 0. Okay, good. Now we should have a new crash. Okay. Line 289. Function clause. Engage 4. Never got far enough. Okay. init build change params args. Gerp grep. Okay. Gprompt call init and then build state. Dude. I need to mute and step out for just a second. I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good.
Oh my goodness. I haven't been looking at the chat. And there is one.
I think I'm going to go ahead and guess that we know at least one of those people. I don't know who the yurt boy is.
Is De-kajiggered right now. Okay. Nice. The De-kajiggering. What did I put on the title? Did Wait, where did my title go on here? Oh. See if that works. I can edit stream titles. It doesn't tell me the time of the chats. De-kajiggered. That sounds like something that would have been like in, I don't know, rap speak in the 90s when they were making up, like for shizzle, De-kajigger, jiggity. Okay, so I'm calling a thingy here. Trying to call engage for state chain ID. Is that right? Fun def. Saying I don't have either one of these wouldn't match, which means maybe fun def is actually blank. I don't know. Let's write a new one and see what happens. Yeah, they're going to give warnings. I don't care. Okay, it's going to do that and then kill itself. Ba-da-dum, da-da-dum. Deploy. Guess it actually has to be one. Okay, and then deploy. Now it should exit. Nope. But just kind of, oh, fun def 0 or none. Okay, that means that we never applied the fun def that came in. Sure enough, we did not. You know, I think I took this out earlier on. They never put it back in. That's bad. Okay. That's just me being goofy. Deploy, yeah, okay, Bob, yeah, 5-0 seller address. Okay. A unique death. Function clause HZ convert. Oh, we got that far. Okay. Not bad.
It's always exciting when you get a new error.
Yeah. Well, these have been, I'm just going through like the sort of notional code that I put in place yesterday to stop the undefined problems. And just to get them in so I could just mess with the interface. And now I'm like actually cleaning up the parts that are supposed to do stuff. That's the de-kajiggering. That's what the de-kajiggering is in reference to. When this is just super kajiggered code, because I was like saying, oh, we sort of do this, then we sort of do this, and these are roughly the steps that have to happen, but I didn't actually plug anything together. I don't really know if it's going to work. So also, I've just realized that my chat window, the window in window thing for chat is like horrible over text.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Is there a way to make it like have a translucent background or something?
That's what I'm looking for right now and seeing if I've got a way. Ooh, I have a. Well, I can pop chat out. I don't want to pop the chat out. What I want to do is make it. I mean, I can remove it. I know I can do that, but I don't know if I can make it opaque, like to give it a background. I could put like a media piece in there and then force it on top of that. So I mean, I could force it to have a background in like kind of a weird way. What's the phone icon? There's a phone icon on this interface. Take calls live on stream. No. How about let's not do that? I can make chat huge. I can display viewership stats on top of the stream. I don't want to do any of that. So like I could put a media thing in and force it like under this, I think, somehow. Maybe not. No, it looks like media is just always on top. That sucks. Like I was thinking of putting this in and then pulling the chat over the top, but that's not wanting to work for me. Is there a way for me to force that layer up? I think there is, and I just don't know what it is. But whatever. Blink, that's gone. And I could do a theme. Like if I did the if I did this kind of theme and then I had chat over here with like a blank background, I could rearrange these to where it's like kind of works. But that's not as good for for code is like this. So now that I've completely blown up my, so we're just going to take the live chat out of the view, and then we're going to put us back here smallish. Is that smallish enough? Maybe a little bigger.
It looks fine on my end.
Okay. Something like that, whatever. Anyway, yeah, I'd like to have I would love to have a text, the in frame, but I'll need to like work with theme stuff more to get that ironed out. There's other backgrounds I could use that might be more conducive, but anyway. Blah. So HZ convert barfed on function clause receiving. A bunch of stuff. These wind up becoming Jarvis questions pretty soon. But first,
I have to say I read through Jarvis's AACI code today while I was doing what I'm doing, and I found that it was I understood it 1,000 times more than I did the last time I looked at it before today. I was like, this is a bunch of magic stuff that magically does what I want every single time, and it always just works, or it doesn't work for some mysterious reason. And then now it's like, oh, okay, I understand what it's trying to do, and it is not less impressive now that I understand it, guys.
They did a really good job.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I think if we're gonna, one thing to think about, I should say, as we kind of update the Sophia compiler going forward, is all of these like little compilation artifacts that we want in practice that are not like the actual bytecode that goes on chain. Things like the AACI, what the layout of the state is, all that sort of stuff. We should probably just fold that sort of stuff back into the Sophia compiler. I haven't thought about it too carefully. I might be completely wrong about that, but
no, but well, some of those things, like the AACI, for example, is something that we should have a compile option to just get that way. Like,
yes.
Okay, right now we have like a JSON option, and then we get an ACI as a JSON blob of shit, and then we have to convert that back to something we can use. Instead of that, I would rather have, instead of a JSON option, maybe in addition to a JSON option, I would like to have an AACI option and just give me the Erlang terms, and have that be the compiled artifact instead of the like there's no reason for that to have ever passed through JSON ever. So yeah, and that absolutely, that should be a compiler option. And we're doing like an external dance that has to be in Hakuzaru to make this kind of work, and it's sort of silly.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of cases I think that are like that. There's I
Like
would
the
say
whole okay, so the way that we compile contracts with debug info included, for instance, is it
mhm.
just puts a bunch of instructions in the actual assembly that indicate, okay, the next line corresponds to, the next instruction corresponds to, file X, line Y. And
Right.
it's like, okay, why doesn't the compiler just keep track of that on its own? And then when you enter the debugger, the compiler should just know. Because like you don't want to commit this much bigger, like the debug symbols are going to be like half your fucking code
Mhm.
if of your bytecode. And it's like, okay, why don't we just have the compiler? Because we have to use the compiler anyway.
Right. So okay, the one place I would say we just have to be cautious. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying the point of caution that you can walk yourself into a corner. Um, when you say, okay, we have 10 different contracts that we're going to compile, we pulled them from the chain. So we don't have the sources. We just have the information coming from the chain in like we got the source from the chain, I should say. We don't
Mm-hmm.
have the project locally. So we get it from the chain to have it locally. Each file has to, or each project has to dictate which version of Sophia compiled it. And that
Mm-hmm.
means that we have to be able to, in the
Dynamically
same
load.
run, have multiple versions of Sophia available. Now, that's not crazy. It's just there's some, you could have multiple versions of Sophia available in memory because you've got all the modules like labeled. Like we could have a step where we make you have versioned
Yeah.
Sophia in memory, or you can say one run at a time, not parallel, but one run of Sophia at a time. And before the run Sophia step, we make sure there's no Sophia loaded and then get that Sophia package, which this is stuff we could do with ZX, right? Is be like,
Mm-hmm.
we know we have these Sophia versions available. We want to take out 8.2 and put in 9.0, or we want to take out 9.0 and put in 9.3 or whatever. Um, Before we run, because that's the contract mandates. The man, it
Mm-hmm.
says what version's got to run. Um,
And different compiler versions are not going to have the features to do that sort of mapping, and then having to retrofit that is just too much of a nightmare. So, okay, that's
so
fair.
a little bit of decoupling is in order is my point, so that you can have that kind of loose and be and react to like what. Okay, so one ace that you do have in the hole is that the primary tooling that we're using again right now, this doesn't help everybody, but it helps us. Is we know that the primary tooling we would use for this is like GajuDesk or a 2e SFP thing, but they're both written by us, and so we can comply with what our own interface is. But part of the reason that that's true is that there's three of us working on this, and we all know each other really, really well. Um, it becomes sort of a explosive, corporate style documentation nightmare once you start communicating outside of the team with other
Yes.
people trying to implement these things. So a little bit of loose coupling, so you can be like, well, we don't support that part, so whatever. Well, hey, look at that compiler version 9.00. Um, and in fact, the compiler version actually should be a tagged tuple that is like, QPQ, whatever that we need to name our compiler is my point. The language is Sophia, but the implementation of the compiler
Yeah.
is like it's a version of the Sophia compiler along the continuum defined by this project, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could have a competing implementation that has totally workable source code or totally workable bytecode. It works functionally, it's the same, maybe even better, but the ordering of the bytecode may be different or something. There may be places where you have options to order things differently.
Or it has different optimization strategies and blah blah blah.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, exactly. So you might, I don't know that Sophia's got a whole ton of optimization strategies available, but we could write anything that's crazy um, that you may want to optimize around. But the point being that, um, there may be competing implementations, and if there are, then you want to identify what they are and be able to have your tooling at least give a thumbs up or thumbs down that I can verify this or I can't verify this because this is outside of scope for me. So having some indication what's in scope of my capabilities and what's not. Is this the part where I say AI fixes that? Or I say blockchain fixes that?
It's I don't know, dude. I was gonna say,
You was gonna say,
Well,
they just not pass arguments in? We don't have a convert 5, do we? We do. 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that is 5. QPQ, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay. Because then it is 7 on that one, sure. And then ARGs. What did my ARGs say they are? Oh, look at that. It's an empty list, so of course I'm fucking barfing on that. That makes perfect sense. Actually, I would want to catch that and return this as like a definite error from convert. Where do we call convert from? Convert errors. Do we have... No, we don't. We do not have a clause? Okay. Whatever. That's gonna go into my notes. I'm gonna do this a little bit. HZ convert 2 needs to check the RDefs error, check that the RDefs count matches the args provided and returns a good error message. Like inside of the context of Hakuzawa talking to HZ, that's not that big of a deal, but because I can go ahead and be like, oh, I fucked up my args thing. But again, somebody else is going to be checking this stuff. And did I just not put the arg? Did I not populate the arg fields? Maybe I didn't. I very well may not have. Args, sure, args. Where is args? Call arg sizer. Call arg sizer. The call controls. Going from call sizer. For MJ call args. We know we were in the second one because okay, lists map add arg. Call sizer. Okay. Having blank args is, probably not the right answer. Deploy base address. Okay. Args. Sophia 0. Why is that the case? Do we return like the original list or something? Probably did. Coming up with something. Oh, I gotta open it first. Wait, I want, base address. I'm stupid. It's weird. I think I didn't recompile my thing last time. Why am I getting arg Sophia 0? Oh, call. Here we go. That's what I'm looking for. Call args. Okay. I'm getting that. And then let's get controls. Show me the controls. Deploy bonk. Okay. Controls. There's obviously gonna be something really stupid in here. Call sizer, yes. Frame J call args. Yeah. So what's my bonk? Where's my thing? There we go. Call controls. Okay. So call arg sizer. So I call these two places. Call arg sizer. Okay. Call arg sizer. We should have the args dimensions back. Should be there. Let's check to make sure they're all references. Boom, 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 boom. Deploy, donk. Okay. Args, Sophia. Nothing. Why is that the case? Okay, well, okay, we did get through that. That's true. So that's the thing so far. And then args are going into where they're supposed to here. And then what do we get? We get the handle command button click for the action button, and that goes to engage. Okay. So if I look up the state args, and I want to tell myself the args, what is going on? What? Okay, 0. Params args. And I call args a state. Ah, okay. I see what's happening. Don't know why it took me so long to see what was happening, but I see what was happening. So the args here are not W objects like they're supposed to be. Yeah, add arg. Okay, I see what's happening. That's me being dumb. What's the name of this? Whoop. Text control. And then WX. Okay, because I did that in the list comprehension. I was filtering out the stuff that I needed. So it's getting an empty list back. Whoop. A quirk of list comprehensions there. Very convenient syntax sometimes, but often doesn't do quite what you want because it's a very overloaded idea. Oh, look at that. Okay, so we didn't crash yet. Okay. We're actually getting through the plumbing now. Oh my goodness. Okay. So contract create built results in what? Contract create built returns what? Args engage for. Okay. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. This is what we're calling. I'm already turning the AACI in.
Turning it in? What do you mean?
Well, I've got I'm already submitting the AACI, it looks like. Maybe. No, I'm not. Caller, nonce gas. Okay, I'm submitting the build, not the AACI. That's good. Contract built wants the build object as opposed to the build map instead of the AACI. And it's doing that. It's preparing an AACI again, which doesn't really matter. We can straighten that out later. Okay. Wait, do we even have the, no? Because there's Elixir code that depends on this, so we just removed all the logging stuff from Hakuzaru. Can I tab? Oh, I can't tab through these. Cool. What did I get back here? I got a list of the arguments. Why is that handle troubling? Okay, we never did encounter this. We never did encounter call data. So we got as far as args getting printed out there. XC control. Contract create built. Oh, I see why. We don't want that. My debugging messed myself up. Did exactly what I asked it to, which is not what I thought I asked it to. I was matching on my args term, which is the same as a variable name. It was valid in there. Ha ha ha. Okay, there we go. That's what I was expecting. Okay, call data. We did get the call data from here. And we got into, that means it went on to a symbol call data. Oop, not cat. I want to just tail. 242, blah. Whoa, that's a big bunch of shit. That's in GDV call deploy. Line 239. What happened? Undef GDCon sign transaction. Oh my god, we got that far. We got all the way to sign transaction.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, cool. So, I did notice that I have an off by one error with the selected key. The selected public key is the wrong one. So that's dumb. That needs to be fixed. Actually, I'll do that right now. Before I go any further, it's something in key selection. So Bob is selected right now, right? There's these three keys. Bob's right in the middle. So Bob is WV, okay? If I go open disk contract, let's do deployed. Boom, it shows up, right? Now, if I do call, Bob is selected, WV, but the recommendation here is FR1, which is, okay, it's one down from that. Now, the WX stuff is 0 base indexed, and Erlang is 1 indexed. So somewhere in here, I am not taking care of that, or perhaps I'm overcompensating. I'm not sure which yet.
The best version of 0-based indexing or 1-based indexing obviously is both of them, but sometimes one and sometimes the other. That's always God.
Yeah. So selected. Where do I get selected from? I think selected comes from the moment of the click it does. Okay, so that's coming from over here, which is, well, not over here yet. That's coming from prompt call or something. Yeah, so like deploy actually becomes, you call deploy with the build, and then it actually sets up a do deploy call, which does a do prompt call with the stuff populated. So just kind of like make sure you don't have to know that. Do prompt call. Do list keys, state of selected. What's do list key ask? Okay. Oh, so it's just above. Do list keys is a thing from the GUI, I believe. Now, every time you use selected indexed, one based index. Okay, so this guy knows the one based index of this thing. Okay, it gives us a list of those, and this selected index should be accurate to that. What's happening next? Selected key IDs. Lists key find. Name. Oh, this is looking for the task. Okay. All right, that makes sense. And then select. Oh, I'm passing a one based index of the key IDs over here. And then I think I'm referencing it directly in this. The picker. Yeah, I am. Look at that. The key picker is a WX choice, and it's got the list of keys in it. And then the WX choice set selection is a selected item. And that's not correct for this particular thing. So I want to make that explicit somewhere, but should it be in the calling? It should be probably over here, I think. Zero based selected equals selected minus one. This is the kind of thing that I use giant variable names. You know how you put huge names around stuff that like describes everything? When it's something corny like this, I will do that too. Because this needs to stick out.
It's funny, I've gotten sick of my own long variable names, and so
I used to do it huge like you do, and then I went more minimalist, and now I'm at this place where I'm often minimalist, but for things like this, I'm long. Because this is silly, right? Like going with it.
I mean, I would be, this is fucking stupid. I would be more, okay, the thing that got me to start being more minimalist was having to split, show 4 different source files on the window. And, if your function name is 20 characters long and you have 60 characters of screen space, it's just not good.
This is like, so the normal resolution I develop at is like this.
Right.
Is like that. And this is not stream friendly, right? But it's very me friendly. And I really like that, but that, you have this problem where code scales vertically better than it does horizontally. Very, very much so. And you can, if I can see this much stuff when I'm doing something really complicated, and I might get lost because it's through. Remember all the serialization stuff where like we had like 5 different code files involved in like one decode whatever call. When I was trying to figure that out, I would like to line these things up on the screen. And on my 4K monitor, I'll have 8 of these things next to each other so I can actually see exactly what calls what to what to what. And this is another thing I don't like about IDEs, where they try to do that for you, but they like jump all the way to the conclusion and you don't see all the intermediate stuff. And I don't like that. I want to actually see everything that happens, especially if there's like sometimes just like weird side effects and shit, like right in the middle. And it's 10 times worse with AI generated code where there really are side effects like all over the fucking place. And to understand why anything does anything, you need to line up all the call path like against each other and line them all up and see, so I can see from left to right what the call stack is, or like what it would be. And I can't do that if I have gigantic variable names. And C++ is probably the worst with stuff like that. Is this visible again, or am I still too small?
I have
totally
you
want
really,
something
really,
bigger.
really small, so it looks like ant. Might as well be
How's this? I
Japanese.
think I was this size before.
That's probably fine.
Okay. Now, what was I in just now? Before we got on this digression. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this big variable name, I normally wouldn't have like huge variable names, but in this case, I will. In fact, I'm going to chop this out. Okay. That was getting a little bit too stretchy to me. It's very hard to keep things like, but you see why I do like the single indent and stuff for case now and all that. Like I don't like all the snaggle toothiness. And I'll inset a state record like this so that I can like understand what it does, and it jumps out at my eye. I just have never written a block indenter that does this properly for me. But this is same thing with like the way that I do. Well, when I do them, in GUI code, you may have noticed I often don't do type specs in GUI code, but like in this kind of code, I definitely do. This style with the spec up front and then the doc in the middle, because I don't want to read that all the time, but I definitely want to see this. I constantly reference this part. And then maybe I need to read the code, but the doc stuff's kind of in the middle. That style, along with like the block indentation and all that stuff, those things that I used to kind of blow off when I was younger, I've come to just appreciate are kind of the killer features of how I want to read source code. And it doesn't matter which language it is. It's often something like this is what I want to see later. Like the way that you did your TypeScript, I prefer. And even though JavaScript doesn't have annotations like that, something kind of like that in the vanilla JS that I write on the client side, I do that same thing because it's just less like sketchy. You know what I mean? So, okay. Now that we know that's, well, I say we know. We're going to find out if that's fixed. I still have to drag this out. I'm going to figure out how to fix that. The location, I bet what's happening is when I close this, I think I'm not saving the location pref. I'm saving the size. See, if I make this small, and then I close it, when I open it again, it's the same size. Okay, so I'm saving something about that, but I'm not saving the coordinates. Like where it was in the total view space. And I need to do that. There's also going to be some offset stuff because I'm doing multiple monitors here, and I need to make sure I'm not trying to push something out off into space. There's a few things like that I need to cover. Let's see, what was I doing? Open from hash. Whoa, not that. Open from hash. This. That was dumb. Okay, open from hash, that, and then deploy. I should have, so WV should be WV. Yay, okay, so we fixed that. Good to know. Oh, by the way, this color thing, I can get rid of this now. That's how I'm deciding if we're in light or dark mode. If I change my, let's see if I can change my monitor settings here. Where's the thing? Workspace setting, is that right? It's somewhere. Oh, breeze. Okay, versus, sure. Okay. Is that light mode now? Okay. Light mode. Engaged. So let's see what happens. Yeah, see? So that's a cheat where I am I'm pulling the panel color. I'm taking a sample of the panel color and seeing is the neutral background dark or not.
Mm.
And if it is, then we're in dark mode. If we're not, then we're in light mode. And so I've set like I've kind of forgot how it works, but like I just made my own little theming thing so that it can figure that out. But the system colors will dictate what your default panel color is. Ooh. Look at that. That's funky. Did that not stick? Or did I actually select the wrong thing? Maybe I did. It's Breeze Twilight. I've never seen Breeze Twilight before. That's dark. That's light again, though. Kubuntu has their own. What's Oxygen? These are like barely different. That's strange. Well, that's odd. These are light, whatever. We're going to be in light mode in frame for right now. Let's see what happened with like the browser if I open this. Yeah, we're still in dark. Okay. How about another app if I just open something new? Let's open a calculator. No, it's dark. I don't know. So that's an interesting oddity that I seem to not be able to catch this. Whatever. Anyway, you get the idea, though. The point's to test the background. I'm not sure why that test didn't happen or it didn't work this particular time. Anyway, I have a preferences, like when I'm closing this thing. Let's see, where's that happen? It's going to be like WX close, I think. Yeah. Maximized frame, get window position. Okay, and the geometry, and I'm trying to save the geometry. Well, that has the width and the height and the XY. That's interesting because it's working for the other frames, but not that one. I'll have to get to the bottom of why that is. Because we saw the size was definitely saved. But the coordinates were funky. Like it keeps showing up over there, but then the main window shows up here if I want it to. So I'm not quite sure. I'll get that ironed out eventually. But let's see. Or maybe actually I could offset it relative to the maybe I should offset that relative to the main window, get its XY coordinate, and then determine where the main GUI window, and then plot everything as an offset from that one's location. Maybe that's better. And then like check the actual available view space and just force everything to be within a reasonable view zone. You know, like don't let it be painted like 2 screens over if you don't have another screen. Don't let the range become negative, that type of thing. So just like kind of box it in to where it has to all be shown. Make sure that the width and height don't run it out of bounds or something stupid like that. But those things aside, have things try to be a relative offset from where the main window is, and then just like, I don't know, have it like be like that plus bounds checking. Because that's how some of the other ones work, like where I'm able to center them on the given frame and then they all show up on this screen. I don't know why the developer one doesn't. Because like if I do, am I? Oh, I am running right now. Let's see. Like I've got, if I do send money, it shows up here. If I do, well, now that shows up here. Huh? But between runs, it no. But now it's over here. It showed up in the same place on the other screen. So I got something funny going on. Send money is consistently here. How about create? Yeah. How about recover? Well, that's a modal though. So these modals are coming up over the top. This has suspended the window, but it's not a true modal as defined by WX. This is a ZX defined modal, not a WX defined modal. So you see how it's not gone totally dark?
Mm-hmm.
That now it does.
That's interesting.
But send money always shows up where it's supposed to. How about the network one? Yeah, well, that's a modal, so it's a cheat. How about this? That always shows up where it's supposed to. Why am I not getting this one showing up where it's supposed to? I've got something dumb in the way that I'm positioning it. It's going to be in the init somewhere. I'll figure it out. It's not like a critical issue. It's just like annoying when I'm streaming. Anyway, we have the correct, what's it called? Happening. Let's go back and boom. Open from hash doink deploy base address. It's so bright to me right now. I'm used to the dark version. Deploy. We crash on what? I saw it earlier, but I didn't really pay attention. Tail 258. Wait. Yeah, 0258 44. It is. Oh, didn't it say like undefined? GD con sign TX. Okay. Sign TX. Sign TX request. Yeah, that's not a thing. Okay. So sign TX gets packed into a request, the form of which I do not recall. Okay. So this needs to be in a map. This comes from the grids thing, doesn't it? Was it the arrow thing for initial assignment?
In a map, yes. Or what are you asking about?
Yeah, in a map.
Yeah, you can't do colon. I hate map syntax.
I do too. Payload. Yeah, I'm going to make a different call form because this is kind of annoying to me. I would rather have do sign TX. What do we do with the request and the rest of this? Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. I see what's happening. This is going through like some specific machinery. I'm gonna break this. Let me just refactor this real quick. So do sign TX because I want a like pure form of this. Caller ID. Chain ID. TX data. Or no, I'm backwards here. I just can't type. Okay, and we've got the same problem here. Same exact issue. We want the caller ID. Sign TX. Okay. Okay. So we have two different sign TXs now. One of them takes a request, and that's like the gridsy one. We don't want. This one's more internal. So actually, that one's going to be a call. Wait, I've got sign call. I just do all that for nothing. I probably did. Oh, look, it was just below this. Ha ha ha. So list my call data. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm dumb. I was just calling the wrong thing. I already did exactly. I just rewrote the same function because I'm dumb. Yep. 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 Sign call. What did I do? What? Oh, ha ha ha. Okay. From hash that deploy. Nothing to check. Okay. Let's see what just happened on. Oh, it's just indexing painfully slow. Okay, what's nothing to check mean? Where do I even generate that message? It's a tell, nothing to check, GTV call. Check TX state. I did not update, I think, the TX data or whatever. So we have deploy. Oh, okay, here we go. So we got down here somewhere we got all the way to check TX and got nothing to check out of it, which means everything went through okay. Other than, not working. But nothing crashed on the way there, which is kind of worse. Parameters, arguments, contract rate built. We got the TX info back. Then we called deploy. Yeah, okay. And so we got into sign call, which is this. Then we got the signed. Wait. Create TX. Okay, we got the create TX. Then deploy does the sign thing. Sign TX back. We go to deploy to state signed TX. Okay. TX data, and we're going to no. All right, we're so close to having this actually working. Again, it's like depressing when you have a feature that worked well before.
Oh, wow. Apparently, if you compile a contract with debug symbols and then post it to the actual chain, it crashes.
Did you post it to testnet?
I posted it to my local network. I didn't post it to the testnet.
Oh, okay.
So it throws error unknown op on the debug symbols. I was like, why is this not working? This is literally hello world. It does nothing. Spent like fucking half an hour and then unknown op. Okay, that's the issue. Fuck.
Nice. Oh, here we go. Reason invalid TX. Okay. Okay. I'm getting a response back from the node now, though. So we've gone from have some contract source that I got from the chain, compiling it, building the args, building a transaction, submitting it, and then being told that's not valid, which means I just need to go through the steps that I had done before to do this, and it should be fine. Not too crazy. We're getting there. Let's see. This stream has been going on for 3 hours now. I'm gonna have to. What time is it anyway?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to get out of here for a little bit.
I need to get going as well.
Yeah. So we'll
right.
Anyway, this is almost done. So close. The big nasty thing here is just invalid. Like, we're not dying anywhere crazy. Everything's working as expected, except for it's probably I'm doing probably the wrong signature form or just something silly like that. But we're at the part that, you know, you tend to hit before success, which is worth actually calling the chain part. And that's great. So I'm going to put a pin in this here and try to proceed this afternoon on that. The next couple of things I want to do are, like, once the call interface does what I want and the life cycle of the calls kind of does the thing that I want it to, which we're really close to already. I want to get the compression thing that I kind of doodled with last week into Hakuzaru to where it works the way we expect with the what was it? I think it was a zlib header. I think it was the zlib or the gzip header. I don't remember which one was like more reliable, but one or the other. So that we can know if we just hand a blob back to the user or if we decompress the blob for them. And what else? The argument uniformity. I did an edit on that before, but none of it's merged. I need to go back through that. And like right now, contract create versus contract call, like they have the same arguments, but their order's different for no reason. Just stupid stuff like that. And I need to re-look the documentation on all those and then publish the edoc output and put that on like new latest version for Gajumaru.io for reference. And there's going to be like a little bit of I want to something I don't have working yet. It's just not implement. I think we have everything we need from the stuff that Spivvy did, but the decoding the return types, because we have the return type and we have I think we have deserialization as well as serialization. I should be able to coerce the contract binary return into like readable Sophia literals in the return block. And that's what the copy button at the bottom of that call thing's for, is you can copy that out and use that as you can paste that into another call if that's what you were doing. Like if the return type, maybe it's a complex type, that would be a pain in the ass to type out. If you got a return type back from a Sophia call and you're kind of mimicking being a contract that's going to follow on and call something else, you can just copy that and paste it into the argument list of like another call in GajuDesk to make it easy to figure out exactly what are the intermediates in these call chains. because we don't have like we've almost got the event emission stuff talking to us on the outside, but not yet. So it's really nice to be able with these complex like chain calls to be able to see this. Oh, also, remember we were talking about projects,
Mm-hmm.
deploying projects.
Yes.
In the course of messing with the compression, like compressing source code instead of putting just like stupid UTF-8 up without compressing it, that led me to the idea of like when I just said zlib header or gzip header. I think it was gzip header was more powerful and it can be an archive. So we could deploy projects as archives and get them back as archives, enumerate them, and GajuDesk could be aware of that and go, blop, here's your, it could be in memory because nothing coming off the chain is that big, but we can have a project view that's multiple files. That's not crazy at all. It makes perfect sense to do. And when we're deploying a contract, if the initial artifacts of it are a bunch of different files, we could clip them out, put them in a directory by itself. Like if you tell GajuDesk to save this project here, it'll make a directory for that project, put all the stuff in there, and then when you submit to the chain, it'll zip that whole directory up, and that's what the source artifact is. That is doable. So I think we have a tractable like approach that we could standardize across, because there's no checking of what's in the binary source artifact, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not under consensus. Now, the fact that it was posted, that has been agreed to by consensus, and the content is agreed to by consensus, but the verification of whether that artifact corresponds to the bytecode that you see on chain, that's an external check. So we have all the pieces necessary for that check, but the check's not part of governance. And that's fine. It gives us a lot of freedom, though, that we can define is like, this is the standard way that GajuDesk does it. If your tooling that you write does it this way, then you're in the clear, and we can define exactly what all that is. So we can do a project deploy versus single contract deploy, self-contained contract deploy. That way, if we have includes and stuff, we can do that. There's going to be a little bit of finagling with like telling Sophia where the includes are at when you call compile, but that's like I mean, all the hooks are there. We just have to figure them out because I don't think they're well documented. They exist. They're just not well documented. So this is all that like leveling up, all the stuff that's like productization that never really happened. I mean, basically anywhere in blockchain. Like doing blockchain stuff is such a deep, dark secret. Like I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of what do you call it? Flame guardianship or something. Gatekeeping. Like the two consulting companies that do all the EVM stuff, they want it to be hard so that only they know how to do it. But that's again, your point is well taken, though, that you don't want normal people writing smart contracts that handle other people's money. But anyway, I'm really glad that I've gotten to the point of getting the invalid transaction thing sent back to me because I know what to do now.
That is good. Okay.
Yeah, that's a happy spot. So Dimitar's going to be really happy about this because he's been pestering me about this. He hasn't been pestering me. I have not handed this back to him for like months. So this is a monkey I'll be very glad to get off my back. I want to go back to doing fun stuff like providing like language transitions where you switch a language and the whole thing just changes, and the additional formats that we came up with. I want to put an option selector so you can pick one, stuff like that, as opposed to just the plumbing pieces that took a long time, and then Smivy had to have some time for him to finish all the serialization work that you mentioned, like that he did in the coerce functions that are fantastic. All that stuff just has taken a while, but I think this is going to be the best tooling ever. And most people will only ever use GajuDesk as like a send people money wallet or a login thing. But This whole evil feature set that's only for us. I should probably put it behind like a hotkey or something. Not even a button.
Okay.
Just an Easter egg. You press like P and it just opens up this thing. I don't know.
That's I'm extremely confused why that is crazy. So the I don't know.
You
I'm
don't
so
know what?
confused. I'm looking at my code. Okay. I'm confused why we have debug symbols in the Fate bytecode standard, but if you deploy a contract with them on chain, the contract always crashes because Fate if you compile it in production mode, which the node has by default, then Fate just doesn't know what the debug symbols are. It doesn't ignore them. It crashes when it sees them. It says, I don't know what this is.
Well, maybe in production, I would argue you don't want debug symbols on a live chain.
Oh, I agree. But this is a big foot gun, which is the compiler will compile with debug symbols in it. And you assume that anything that the compiler spits out will work on chain, but apparently that's not true.
You assume much.
Yeah.
Really? I got no bars this whole time.
Well, I mean, I think the
Who wrote
author
this
of
shit?
I think the author of this Tetris program just fucking hates you.
Clearly, who was it? Gonna find this guy. Give him peace of my mind. Really? Real? Oh, really? Really? That just happened.
Yeah.
Well, I understand fully now why. Most Tetris implementations have like a don't make it too hard like filter.
Yes. I was going to say that whoever wrote that should add that instead
That
of just
bastard.
generating random blocks. Well, I think what you're if you're going to generate random blocks, you should seed the randomness because like I think the way that it's written is that that like an S shape and a Z shape are considered different, and it just randomly chooses of the shapes. And so like an I should basically be as likely as either an S or a Z, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. There's actually I think a bit of like an argument in the Tetris implementation community about that, which is what are they're supposed to be random, but then they're not supposed to be impossibly like you shouldn't have impossible sequences. And there's different strategies for how they go about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a much friendlier game this time, but you can never tell. I mean, I remember Nintendo Tetris was like horribly hard sometimes. But oh, there we go. Yeah, this one S and Z are considered independent. Yeah, every different piece is considered totally independent. This is sort of like old school 1980s Tetris hard mode.
Mm-hmm.
Is the way this one's written. Before there was ever like a consortium on Tetris. Dude,
Or
people have tried to become like the guardians of Tetris and like dictate what the colors are allowed to be. Well, that was good. Dictate what the colors are allowed to be and stuff. And like you can't if you use the word Tetris, then they're like, oh well, you have to pay dues to the Tetris union, like or whatever. Which is of course silly. No one's going to do that. But
mm-hmm.
I anything good that you have, some people that had no like role in creating it will just show up to like become. That was dumb. Will just show up. They'll come just appear out of nowhere to be the new.
Why didn't you
guardian.
do your thing the way that I would have done it if I had talent, which I don't?
Right. Well, it's kind of like when tourists show up here They're like, "Oh yay, I'm visiting Japan. Oh, why does it have to be so Japanese?" That's still one of my pet peeves.
Dude,
Okay.
you were getting, are you really going to do that?
Yep.
Nice.
It's just slow enough that I can.
Everything being asynchronous in Erlang means that games are always just weird, is that the timing's never quite right. It's
Well,
always just a little.
well, the timing on this will be off by the on the order of like nanoseconds, so it
Hmm.
doesn't. Um, it's just insane how fast computers are. Like,
Yeah. Dude, did you see that thing with GitHub?
which
Oh,
which
you didn't see? Oh, they basically GitHub, their like Ruby on Rails backend had a bug where it was destructively altering the commit histories of people's Git repos, but not showing any sort of error or indication that it was doing so. So like you would have
what?
a yes, you would have a PR and it would say, 300 lines changed. And you look at it and be okay. And then you'd click merge and everything looked fine. But then in the history, 6,000 lines got changed and it was just like deleting a bunch of people's code. Yeah,
In
that's GitHub
GitHub?
now. Yeah, that's GitHub now. And everyone's
It-
like, how the hell does this possibly work so that this is even possible? Because the whole point of
yeah,
Git is that that's not supposed to be possible.
yeah. It's really strange too because that's not Git itself. That's GitHub
Yes. So
built
somebody,
on Git.
I think it was Primogen, he was like, okay, you have broken the core promise of GitHub, which is that it's Git.
Yeah, yeah. That's totally accurate assessment. Um, I, I don't know. It's just like one more thing to laugh about. That, like, how I don't know. People who decide to stay playing in Clown World, just they get what they deserve. It's I don't understand why anybody would trust any kind of cloud service right now of that type. Um,
Well, it's just,
I know it's convenience and habit and all that, but it's just like, ooh,
man, Microsoft really,
they really shit the street.
it's not surprising that they did this. I mean, I stopped using GitHub as soon as I heard Microsoft bought it.
Yeah,
Um,
same. That's why I
I was
moved to
just like,
GitLab, and then that turned out to be I knew that was temporary. I didn't realize like
how
how
temporary.
wacky that was going to get.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I haven't. I guess we've got to start self-hosting our own thing. That might be actually a good.
I mean, we do for the company right now, but I
But
need
that
to.
might be. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, like I need to get. I need to point Psychobitch. Get Psychobitch Party needs to go like back how it was.
I wonder if that might be. This would be a weekend research project, which I guess I can do. Would be how hard would it be to use Gajumaru to paywall such a thing?
To paywall.
Yeah,
Uh,
so the idea is, okay, hey, we have a version of GitHub that actually works, but you have to pay for it because
okay,
that's the
not
problem. Oh, go ahead.
not hard. I think. I
In
think that's
principle,
literally
it's
like a
not hard.
weekend. Yeah. Well, I think it's like. Well, get okay. I say it's not hard. Um, Given what we've already done with Gaju Market and these other things, this is getting too fast for me to be able to. I'm gonna fucking die. Um, this is like when I'm playing DayZ, talking with you, and bears show up, and I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I can't do both of these. Um, the Given what we've managed to do with like Gaju Pay and Gaju Market and things like that, I think that was dumb. Um, it's I don't think it would take more than a weekend or so to figure out. What we'd have to decide is like when we say paywall, what do we mean? Do you have like a token that provides you access that like expires on a certain timeline, or how do I go out in a blaze of glory? Okay, there we go. Do like what gives you access? Do we have like you've paid for access up to a certain height and that's checked in a contract? I mean, that's not that hard to do, right? We would have like public keys, that's your ID in the thing. We have a governing contract and you pay. That contract has a rate that we can set. It remembers a rate in state. How much does one generation cost? And that's some cost in pucks. And so I want to pay what for the next year. We know how many generations that is. So that means generations times the price per generation. You've paid that. That means that you're good up to this height. If you're going to pay more, it can divide that price out to how many generations that is. And then every time you log in, it's a call to in the back. It calls to check like you gives you a login thing to make sure you're you. And then to avoid having extra contract calls, the back end would do a dry run against the contract that just says, what was your most recent valid height? Or what's your current, like, what are you good up to? And if it's less than that right now, then go ahead. Yeah, I mean, something like that would be really simple just for access control for like over time. And if you write the service offering in terms of like this operates over not days, but an approximation of days that's actually based on this, like, the probabilistic clock of that's from mining, that would be totally satisfactory to me as a user. Anyway, I don't think that would be like, what would you need to look at? Like the Gajumarket login code and then write a real simple contract with like 2 or 3 functions on it. And that'd be it.
All right.
Because they pay the contract, we could just draw down from the contract as the service provider. I think that's a really good stripped down kind of simplified access case. Like I want people to pay for subscriptions up to some time, and whoever they are is whatever their public key says they are, so we can self-referential. And then
that might
anything.
If we could make it as like an Nginx plugin and package it nicely, that might be a product that we could just start deploying, that would solve an immediate problem for a lot of people of basically just paywall your HTTP server.
As an Nginx plugin, let me think about that. Like,
because I was like, okay, I'm gonna put my Git up, and the simplest way to handle it is I don't want to deal with Git-t's authentication layer, period. So can you interact with this at all?
Okay, well, so Git-t's authentication layer is actually pluggable. We could write that straight into Git pretty easily, I think.
I know. My point is that if you want this to be something that generalizes well, that is a product that solves an immediate problem for everybody, you make this an Nginx plugin or an Apache plugin or something, and you just turn it on, and it.
Right. My point is, I think that there's to make it really generic. If you had, I'd have to check into the OAuth thing, but I think that OAuth is actually able to do something where the provider that's like you issue a challenge, the response is sent, and I don't think that like the details of how the crypto works, that's not defined. I think it's more generic. I think it's like issue challenge, get whatever. My point is you should be able to do the back end part of that over grids. And I think that you can have a reason for why OAuth denied authentication. If that's the case, my point is, if that's the case, you can say you're not paid up versus we don't trust you.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you can do something like that, then you could sort of have this extra layer to OAuth where the OAuth challenge goes on this grids route of a signature, and if not, redirect you to this like pay up page, and then have the challenge work out.
I think Elon's Twitter proved that the sort of paywalled garden, even though Twitter right now definitely has problems with botting and whatnot, it's a lot better than it used to be. Number one, and number two, he proved that business model is viable.
Yeah. So my point is that there's OAuth plugins for Nginx, for Apache, and for Git directly. And if you do the OAuth, if again, that's assuming that we could make that fit with it. And I'd have to reread some. OAuth is like it's like ASN1. Like the part that you want to know about it is really narrow, but they made this giant fucking standard that's like way too big. But I think there's something there that could be done, because in principle, like a contract with like a pay out the operator, pay my subscription fee up to some height, or alternatively, so pay my subscription fee up to some height, or pay an amount and then it tells me what height I'm good up to. Dry run to find out what a given participant's next valid height is or whatever, and set the rate per generation, which would like an admin function for that. That like that's 5 functions. So a contract with 5 functions and a very simple map. Ownership's already implicit. Like there's not much to do in that. And then what? Any back end that just needs to look that up, we already know how to do that. That like the dry run for this is really simple to figure out. I'm pretty sure that an OAuth authenticator could do that and then give a response that's like, you're not, permission denied, but then why? Well, I think you can have a reason with it. So that's all you would need. I think we could actually make an OAuth, what's it called? Authenticator that would do exactly what you'd want. So basically sign in with OAuth, and then instead of saying like sign with Google or whatever, it takes you to the inset page that's for the service. Now, if you genericize that, assuming all that worked through OAuth without a bunch of extra cheetah flips, if that was like a genericized thing, which site are you signing into? You could make that a service where we charge, if you want to put this layer in your site, you get this, you do this thing, and then we're going to take like, 5% off of your service fees. That's our fee for providing this for you. Like we could just make it fully pluggable for web people so they don't even have to know how blockchain stuff works at all. So it's put this, it'd be one of those things like put this HTML clip out or this script or whatever into your website authentication thing, and there will be a callback hook from us that tells you that you're good to go or not. Or alternatively, if your backend accepts OAuth, can be configured for OAuth stuff, then this is your OAuth endpoint, and you will get response from us. That type of thing. So run an OAuth service that charges fees for them, and then our service fee is what lets us run that service at all for people, and then just have the whole thing charged in Gajus, and that's it. But I think that would be totally doable.
Okay.
Now the sticky part is the OAuth stuff. That's the mystery. Everything else, all the chain stuff, I think is like really simple and obvious. But that's similar to like, there's this, let me see if I can find it. I have this the other day talking with if I can pull it out of my browser. There we go. I was talking with Ulf about the. Do you like my artwork?
Let me see.
Um,
Oh yeah, that looks like the Doxygen docs.
um, what this is the state channel using state channels for micropayments between agents. Um, this is the during conversation drawing in like color paint version
Mm-hmm.
that I need to clean up and make into an actual doc. But basically, you've got the OC is OpenClaw in this case. G is like whoever Gemini or GPT or somebody like that. Um, so you have a human over here with GajuDesk, and he's delegating a key to OpenClaw. So he's basically saying, "Here's a million Gajus you can use. This is my funds for you." So what's a million Gajus? It's like $10,000, something like that. Um, so I'm going to give you a $10,000 budget to spend on like AI, you know, AI providers or whoever you're going to talk to at the speed of light, right? The OpenClaw is going to be doing stuff. So OpenClaw then tells a provider, "Hey, I want to open a state channel with you." Then this provider tells a the state channel facilitator. If it doesn't have its own state channel facilitation, it would just tell a state channel facilitator service, "Hey, give me a state channel endpoint," because this guy can run like a bunch of different Gajumaru nodes, and each Gajumaru node can manage thousands of state channels at the same time. So maybe this guy has a bunch of nodes that he's running for that specific. They're not mining; they're just nodes. Um, and then he's like, "Okay, it's called this place. It's at this address." And so he starts being able to. So this guy spins up the node, or if it's not already up, establishes, tells it, "This is your endpoint to set up a state channel." This guy says, "Okay." Uh, then he tells him, "Okay, my state channel endpoint is this thing." And then this guy says, "Hey, I want a state channel endpoint too." A node gets spun up, and now he's talking to that. Now, this green route is the state channel noise session between uh, this guy and this guy. And this is their communication, like their WebSocket communication with the utility node that's providing the state channel endpoint for them. Now, there's obviously an on-chain commit to get, they both do a commit to open their initial commit to open the state channel. Once that's done, they're just talking. It's just node to node directly. There's no gossip stuff in the middle. It's just noise session between these two nodes that manage it, which could be the same node, by the way, which is a simplification for a service provider. And then the actual thing that's happening between them, the service request that they wanted to do in the first place, that's the blue, saying like OpenClaw saying, "Hey, here's a prompt, you service it," and he sends the result back, whatever. And then he tells over here, "Hey, that was so many tokens. Pay up or I won't accept your next request."
Mm-hmm. That makes
But
sense.
that can all happen like millions of times. You know what I mean? They can do across the span of an hour, they can have these bursts of like thousands of transactions per second where each token, because the puck is so tiny relative to the Gaju overall, they could charge for each individual token instead of like having some prepaid giant limit that you try to go up to, and then it's never economically feasible to refund you the unused portion. In this case, it always is. And closing the state channel is them just saying, "Okay, well, we're going to close the state channel now, bye," or leaving it open, and you can just resume with that state. Once you've established a state channel with this party, you can just keep it open unless you need the funds out of it. Like if you
Lewis
need
Ross
the remainder.
Lewis Rossman had he made a video. I didn't watch it carefully, but he had an interesting video about Anthropic's price model. Essentially, okay, you know how like on cell phones, so like my cell phone contract, I get, whatever, 4 GB of data usage each month, and then above that it gets throttled.
Mhm.
Okay. And ISPs are notorious for like if you get to 2.5 GB and you're using BitTorrent, then it starts basically throttling you proactively because it's like, oh, BitTorrent is bad, even if you're torrenting Arch Linux. Um,
Yeah, right.
um, what was I going to say? Oh, so Anthropic, somebody discovered a bug where basically, so Anthropic wants you to use Claude Code as like the harness for Claude, and some people were using OpenClaw instead. And so I suspect that Anthropic wrote their billing backend, had vibe coded their billing backend, but somebody discovered a bug, a quote bug unquote, where basically if Claude found like the instructions for OpenClaw in like its workspace, so if it can detect that OpenClaw that somebody is trying to use OpenClaw, then it started charging you the surge price. Basically, if you went over your token limit, and if you were over, whatever 70% of your token budget, and you were trying to use OpenClaw, then it started charging you as if you were 100% had used 100% of your token budget. And Anthropic's response to this was to kind of just shrug their shoulders and go, I don't know, which tells me they vibe coded it. But I didn't look into the I didn't look into it very clearly or carefully, and actually make any attempt to figure out what was going on. So that might have, who knows? That was kind of that was that was my based on the information I got. That was how my brain put the pieces together. And usually I'm right, but I haven't actually checked. Usually okay, here's what it is. Usually I'm right, and then when I go check, I initially find a bunch of information that suggests that I was wrong, and then I look into it and all of that is bullshit and actually I was right. That's always how it turns out.
Yeah, that's we've had a pretty consistent track record with things like that, where
Hmm.
we look into things. Well, that combined with looking into things and realizing it's way worse than we thought it was.
Oh my god, dude.
That's been a pretty bad pattern too.
Yeah. I'm I'm really curious to see kind of what I think actually honestly the AI bubble might be kind of a good thing for the tech industry because it has sucked all of the hype out of every other subset of the tech industry. And so, you know, they can just kind of proceed. And I don't know, but I don't know. I really hate the hype cycle.
Yeah, I do
Well,
too.
I mean, the problem is that the technology that actually solves problems is really, really, really boring. And like, I mean,
Hmm.
it's hard to generate hype for something extremely boring.
Well, yeah, it's kind of the problem with like it's hard to organize or agitate around like normal stuff because it's like the message "be normal" is not something people pick up a pitchfork over.
Hmm.
They wait
Until
until
they
things are
do.
like freakishly out of whack, and then they're like, "Let's
Yeah,
go get rid of the."
until suddenly everyone picks up the pitchforks and nobody has any sort of sense of pitchfork decorum.
Yeah, yeah, everything you get that everything all at once problem,
Hmm.
which is pretty messy. Um,
You
nah,
get the gradually and then suddenly, but suddenly occurs suddenly.
yeah, yeah, it's when the acceleration is accelerating, when
Yeah.
you have modifiers to your accelerator, um, it's you kind of get a big snowballing, um, in-dimensional snowballing. That's the
It's an
dangerous
int-
one.
it's an interesting way to think about how screwed are you is which derivative are you trying to fix? Are you trying to fix velocity? Are you
Hmm.
trying to fix acceleration? Or are you trying to fix jerk, which is the change in acceleration? Or are you even
Right.
trying to work on derivative number 4? Then you're like really screwed.
Yeah, yeah. You've got this sort of like it's not just snowballing. There's like the fractal snowballing, and
Yeah,
that's
the curvature isn't quite the right term. Jarvis is probably freaking out in the chat if he's still there.
Yeah. He's like,
'Cause
what are you
I'm
saying? Speaking of chat,
well,
I have
this
a.
is
Oh no, we did get.
well, this got I don't know. This is like freshman level calculus that I don't remember.
I've got weird. I'm trying to. I don't know how to do the moderation stuff here. I've got some spam coming from Rumble here. A Steam game recently got delisted for having a Tetris minigame. That's Spivy's comment. What?
Mhm.
Star Sand Island. Man, there's so many rules in Japan. I don't mind the clean streets though, and that part is all right. That's kind of funny. Yeah, this. It's like okay, so I can bring these up. Steam game recently got delisted for having a Tetris minigame. So, and there's so many rules in Japan. I don't mind the clean streets though. That part's all right. How do I kick a crappy spammer? I don't know the answer to that yet. I need to figure out how to use like the admin rules for the chat thing. I also need to remember to keep chat open because like I had it covered up earlier. Spivy's trying to like talk to us. Anyway, I need to get out of here. I will be back and doing an afternoon session. Probably not on stream, but the we're almost in a happy place. I just got to figure out why TX data is invalid, but I'm not too scared of that.
All right.
And we'll get that ironed out because we had that working before, so I have a reference that I know worked. So that'll be doable. Anyway,
All right.
take care.
See ya. Bye.